Rob,
right,
let's get into it.
Yes.
What are your thoughts? Deshaun Watson, 6 games.
I thought that the arbitrator swung and missed. I thought the suspension was way too lenient, especially for a couple reasons, Chris. 6 games just doesn't seem enough when you talk about the scope of how many women were involved in this. Remember, it's not a court of law. You don't have to be. It's not like you have to be guilty of a crime in order to be punished. So people need to understand. I think too many people don't understand that once you sign up and you sign a contract to be a part of something, you have to live by the rules that are negotiated in the CBA. So it's totally different from a court of law. Number 2, why didn't the Browns just pay him $17 for the year so he'd owe the NFL $6? Seriously, because it's a farce that they allowed.
No, you're right,
Chris. Why
What's
not?
the difference
What
to
is
him?
What is the difference? It should have been $17, and he could have paid the league $6
I wonder if there's
in
a
quarters.
minimum. There must be a minimum, but you're right. It is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
He's going to lose $345,000.
Right, and Chris, next year make $46 million, and then for all the people, former players, analysts on television, stop saying that he was suspended last year. And this is really a 23-game suspension or what?
Absolutely.
He was not suspended last year. He got his full pay and refused to take the field.
What
Chris?
were you and I saying?
Yes.
We were saying, I mean this, if I ran the Texans,
I would have made him go out there.
Playing, yes, you're our best quarterback. You go with the ones. You're starting. Now, he may have faked an injury or something, but I would have tried to make him play.
100%. But, Chris, guys are out there talking about, this is 23 games last year. No. So
even the arbiter said in her ruling that those games, now she may have been siding with those you just mentioned who are kind of including that in the suspension because she did say that Goodell would not give him the administrative leave, and that meant the games couldn't count against his suspension, almost kind of because she had said he paid the price. And then she mentioned that. And so I don't know if she was going there, but I'm with you. No, that was not a part of the suspension.
Was not. This is a suspension. And so,
he
Chris, chose
not to play.
This is where I'm at. I thought it was too lenient. We talked about it. It should have at least been 8 games, could have been a season, but way too lenient for me. And the former federal judge, maybe now we know why she's former, but it wasn't a great job by her.
Well, I look, it's hard. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer. I did take constitutional law 1 year in college.
Did you?
When I thought maybe I want to be a sports agent. And 1 semester, that's all I took. It was just, no, it wasn't for me. But I agree with you, Rob, that when I heard it was 6 games, I was a bit stunned. And I know there had been rumblings, around that it could be 4 games, that, the
2
NFLPA,
games, right.
Yeah, they released their statement saying, hey, we're going to abide by the ruling. We want the NFL to do the same thing. They probably had some inkling that it was going to be short. But I still was expecting at least 8 or 9 games. I really was. And Rob, you and I had talked about how we thought it was going to be a year, maybe a month or so ago. Now the tide seemed to shift, and that's why I thought it might only be 8 or 9 games. But I don't think it is appropriate. But here's what stunned me, and you've heard a lot of people today, Rob, say, well, this is different from all the past rulings. This is different from Calvin Ridley getting a full season for betting on games that he didn't play in. This is different from Ezekiel Elliott and Johnny Manziel and even Tom Brady with the 4 games for Deflategate. None of that matters because that was Goodell.
Right.
But now it's a new era in the NFL's issues like this, and they got an independent arbiter to do it.
And
I was listening and kind of bought that until I read her ruling. And what I found, Rob, and I'm not criticizing her, she's, I guess, doing her job or her decision, but, Rob, she based her ruling entirely on the precedent that the NFL had already set.
No, if that was the
so
case,
it might as well have been Goodell.
Right. There's no reason to have her if it's going to be the same exact thing.
Right.
And that was the reason that they went away from him.
It feels like she wasn't independent.
Right.
Because she did essentially bind herself to what had been what the decisions were before. And here's the problem with that, Rob. The NFL's decisions are all over the place.
Right. We've been saying that forever, that it's not consistent enough.
No,
it's just,
Ezekiel Elliott gets 6 games for battering. They suspended him for domestic violence against his girlfriend at that time on 3 separate occasions.
Right.
Now, he was not charged with anything or convicted of anything, but the NFL obviously deemed that he had done violence to this woman, and they gave him 6 games. And yet and Ray Rice only got 6 games. And then yet you give Calvin Ridley a full season. And Tom Brady, as bad as Deflategate was, it's not only 2 games worse than beating up a woman, right? And
the other one was Michael Vick got a year for dogs. And I say it from the standpoint of dogs compared to human beings.
I totally agree with you.
I
thought that was overdone.
I mean, a whole year, I was stunned that's how harsh they were to him, including Chris, that it happened on his property, but he wasn't involved. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And
again, I don't advocate what he did.
No, we're not. I'm talking about the severity of it.
It's not comparable to what you do to a human being.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry. It's just not. And, Rob, here's the deal. I think the NFL needs to, because of the way she ruled, they need to set a new precedent. Because the next time it happens, so there's 2 ways to do it. You can either change the CBA, which we'll see if the Players Association would even go along with that, or you can appeal. And then Goodell can increase it to 10 games or 8 games or a full season or whatever he deems appropriate. And that'll be the new precedent. Now, I know that the PA will appeal it.
Sure.
And then it'll be drawn out and we'll see what happens. So I don't think the NFL wants to draw this out. They got a lot of decisions to make.
Well, I also think
this is not a simple decision.
It's not, Chris. Here's the other part.
They have until Thursday afternoon, as I said.
I think an 877-99 on Fox, we're going to definitely want to hear from you, but I'll say this last thing, Chris. The NFL, could be fielding calls from women's groups, advertisers, you know what I mean, leading up to that. And
if advertisers get involved, then I hate to say it. I don't know to hear from women's groups.
I'm just saying, to get a taste of a feel temperature in the room is what I'm saying. Like, they have a couple of days, because if some big advertisers say, hey, what's going on here, and we're not comfortable with this, and we're going to hear from our customers who are mostly women, we might have an issue here. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. Because public sentiment is going to, I would think, play a large part in this. And, Rob, we got to say it. We've had some callers. I've talked to many people, men, about this. And a lot do feel like a lot of these, I don't want to say on Watson's side, but for lack of a better phrase, on Deshaun Watson's side.
I don't disagree with you.
And they feel like the time, you've probably heard it from people too.
Yep.
Oh, the timing. All of a sudden he doesn't want to be a play for the Texans, and now this stuff comes out.
Right. Like, there's some sort of, like, they put up, like, they were in cahoots with the women. And I'm like, come on now. You can't make this many people come up there. Chris, if it's 1 or 2 people, maybe. It was the same argument I had when Bill Cosby. I said, if you want to tell me 3 women have made up a story on Bill Cosby, I'll believe it, Chris, right? I'll believe 3. But if you want to tell me 60 women have come forward to lie on Bill Cosby, come on. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
And I think if there's anything relevant in what guys are saying about the timing, did the Texans know? I don't think they knew exactly what he was doing. But they probably knew, he does these massages, man. We getting him in the room to do it. And they gave him an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. Once he demanded out, they may have just stopped trying to cover up or, you know what I mean, help him or keep
And
people
he
at
was on
bay,
his own,
whatever
right.
it was.
And
Yeah, he was
that's
on his own. And so that's, I think, if anything, the role they played. All right, it's your turn to weigh in on the Deshaun Watson ruling.
All right, let's get it kicked off, Chris. Let's start with Mark in Sacramento. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What up, Mark?
What's going on, gentlemen?
What's up,
going
man?
on, gentlemen? Hey, Chris, real quick, I wanted to thank you for what you said about Mr. Russell this morning, man. You had me kind of choked up, and I appreciate how you said it. That was perfect, and I just want to give you some props. You said it well.
I appreciate that because you usually don't give me props, so that means a lot coming from you.
I give them to you when you earn them, and you never earn them.
Oh, my gosh.
Real quick, I told you guys a long time ago, and maybe you guys just they don't want to really approach this because it's NFL owners and not you guys, but all across the spectrum. They don't want to rock the NFL boat. They don't approach the NFL owners too often unless they have to. And I kept telling you guys, that gal, a woman was investigating a woman issue. And if you think she wasn't going to wait till that little punk Dan Snyder got his butt in there and talked, which he did for 14 hours on Thursday, I bet you Friday she got her hands on what he said. And I guarantee you she had to look at that. She says, if owners are doing the same thing and not punishing each other, how am I going to punish him?
Yeah, I don't know if that had any factor in it, but in the court of public opinion, I think that was a smart move.
Yeah, I don't agree with that totally because they made Richardson sell his team for far less. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but what about Schneider?
No, I get that, but it's not like
because Schneider's is some stuff.
I understand, but you can't act like they haven't done. They made Richardson sell the Panthers. They did. Larry in Maryland, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What up, Larry?
Not a whole lot. What's going on, fellas?
Hey.
Good, man. How are you?
Man, it's a pleasure to finally get through. I just wanted to call
Thank
and say, again, first of all, to the accusers, my apologies. I'm sincerely apologetic that you had to even go through this experience. With that being said, my only wish is if there was real smoke behind these accusations, I wish there were criminal proceedings to accompany that, because it is always difficult for me to reconcile someone who will go after I guess, alleged abuser civilly, but not criminal proceedings. That,
a number of them tried, though. Not all of them. But some did try, and it was thrown out.
But Larry, you got to be very careful. Okay, let me I just want to say this. Oftentimes it's a he said, she said, and
that's exactly what this was.
And there are no witnesses. It's just like when people get killed, Chris. Very seldom is people killed in front of other people.
Right.
So there's always a one side of the story, or it's a he said, she said, and you got to figure it out. And it's not always cut and dry. If I'm in an elevator with somebody, if I'm a woman and a guy puts his hand up my skirt, how do I prove that? I can't prove that, Chris.
Right.
I can't.
No cameras.
But that doesn't mean it didn't happen to me, does it?
Nah, I hear you.
That's all I'm saying.
This was clearly a he said, she
right,
said.
That's
no
all.
ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Okay, Tom in Virginia, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What up, Tom?
Hey, guys. Again, long-time listener, fourth-time caller.
Appreciate you.
So I called before about this thing, and, I'm a father of 3 boys, a father of 3 girls. And so
That's
I
remember that. Yep.
I appreciate the process, but so I got a couple things I disagree with you guys on. One is this is not like the precedent thing and the NFL being all over the place on these punishments. That's because it goes back to this nuance thing. All these cases are different. So the punishments are by nature going to be very different.
But the thing is, they don't seem appropriate. That's the thing. Like Ridley getting a full season for betting on games he didn't play in. I'm not saying that was all right, but it's not worse than what Ezekiel Elliott. That's what I mean.
Right.
I fully agree.
Pulling down somebody's top. What did he got suspended for?
Pulling the top. But
tube top down. Right.
A lot of violence.
I fully agree. And so by all the cases needing to be exactly the same, that's not what needs to happen here. I want this justice to be served, and I want the facts to come out. But at the same time, it doesn't mean the suspensions need to all be the same. And so with this one, man, I think she needed to go higher. I think they need to be more games just because of the volume of
We agree
accusers,
with
man.
That's the issue. If this was 2 or 3 masseuse, Chris, I would have a totally different view on this. I would, but it's
you
not
don't
2 or
want
3.
most people, and there's been reports about a lot of people in the NFL, like with teams, executives, feeling like this was low. You don't want most people feeling like, man, that's it.
That's all he got?
We
okay.
said, Rob, there should be, I think 8 or 9 or 10 would have at least made people feel like, okay, that's some punishment.
Especially since he skirted
it be a year.
too, Chris, with the contract. With the
Absolutely.
like he skirted that. If you're the NFL, you're going to be like, oh, okay, he's getting $1 million this year. It might, as we said earlier, why not $17?
Right. We welcome in Garrett Bush, all the way from Cleveland, Ohio. What's up, brother?
What's
Welcome
happening?
to the Odd Couple.
Hey, what's going on? How y'all doing, man? Big fan of the show.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. Let's get right to it. What is the feeling? Obviously, there are different opinions, but yeah, the general reaction in Cleveland, Ohio, regarding the Deshaun Watson ruling.
Well, if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, I believe the general relief is you're ecstatic with 6 games. You look at it just a couple of weeks ago. It was all good just a week ago, right? A few weeks ago, you looking at a whole year suspension. We talk about indefinite. We talking at least 1 year. And the way the things was looking, a lot of people were bracing for the worst. A lot of people saying that the Deshaun Watson might have not been the best move for the Cleveland Browns to go after. If you take a look at the capital they give up, the 3 number first-round picks. Also take a look at his cap numbers in terms of the big guaranteed contract. So now you fast forward now and you get 6 games, and you look at the Cleveland Browns schedule, the first 4 games of the year, very manageable games. He'll come back at Baltimore right in time for AFC North matchup with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. But right now, I think people that are Cleveland Browns fans couldn't be more ecstatic with 6 games.
Yeah, what what's your feeling as far as the league maybe appealing that and Roger Goodell? I think they're going to check the temperature in the room, advertisers, other people, look at it around the league, because most people think he got off pretty lightly. And I think that especially the way he structured his contract to not be hit in the pocketbook, I think there's a real chance that, there's an appeal. Where are you on that?
Well, I think the league is in between a rough spot and a hard spot. I mean, they're caught in the middle right now, because you look at it from the standpoint of the league. You say that you want a year, and you weren't going to take anything less than a year, and you want it indefinite. For you to have 6 games now, the league office is definitely going to put their finger in the air and judge the temperature of the public Court of Public Appeals. So right now they're going to see in these next 2 to 3 day waiting period how many people are upset with this. Do you have any groups coming along, any women groups, any female activist groups? You're going to also check to see what, like you said so eloquently, sponsors.
Yes,
that's the name of the game.
Because that money moves the world. They said that they would never change the name of the Washington football team, and a couple sponsors called, and it got changed overnight. You remember that?
Yes. Yeah,
not really overnight.
But you know what I mean. Right. Well, I mean, overnight.
Took longer than it should have.
No, but overnight for considering that he said it would never happen with his dead body. That's what I meant. Right.
Now the difference here is you have a little bit of a issue, because here's the thing. The league collective bargained this thing. They said, listen, we want Roger Goodell. And more than anything, I think they wanted Roger Goodell to stay clean on this thing. I think he started taking a lot of unnecessary hits for being a judge, jury, and executioner. So they said, listen, let's go ahead and bring in an arbiter. The arbiter happens to be a woman who is a 25-year-old or 25-year judge who's had that level of experience. And she took a very long time to look at this.
Right.
She deliberated. She asked for briefings at the end just to make sure everyone got heard on this thing. And then she came out with 15 pages. And it was extensive 15 pages as to exactly why she felt the way she did, and she came at 6 games. Now, if you go back and say, if you're the league and say, well, I don't know, Judge Robinson, thanks, but no thanks. We'll go ahead and take this in our hands.
this is the first time that she's being an arbiter on something. Obviously, they want her to come off looking as she's credible. I think it's a big difficult to go back and then change it now. But the league,
they never should have put him. Yeah, they never should have had it left in there that he could change it.
But that's the point.
That's the thing,
Chris. I'm with you.
I agree. If they wanted to completely get Goodell and the NFL out of the
he shouldn't be the arbiter, right? He shouldn't be in this position.
You shouldn't even leave that option. And it would have been like, because to be honest, the NFL would have had an out. They would have been like, look, we wanted it to be an indefinite suspension.
Right. And then
if you want to look at anybody, look at the arbiter.
But they can now
we can't go back.
They can't, right, because they have a path to make a change, and it's going to wind up in Goodell's lap again. And
exactly.
And that's why, like, if you have to answer the advertisers and sponsors, you can't say it's out of our hands because it's not out of your hands.
Right. Garrett, let me ask you this. Are people in Cleveland looking at it solely as a football thing where, hey, we got a great quarterback now. We got a chance to do some damage this season, which, we obviously haven't done in years. Or is there a voice of dissent? Are people like, yeah, we like him, but, man, it's going to be hard to pull for him? Or are people just completely on board with him?
No. Let's not get it twisted. There is dissent. Well, we brought one of the largest women's groups on Facebook, Brown's Backer Group, and she came in and she spoke to us on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. She talked about how difficult it was just to even keep control of her group on Facebook, because there's half of the women and ladies that feel a certain type way, and there's a half of the women and ladies that says, I can't even believe what's going down this path with this guy. Just today on the radio, I do a show called The Barbershop on Saturdays, and people call up and say, look, what am I supposed to tell my daughter? What am I supposed to tell? Right. Am I supposed to buy my daughter a jersey? What am I supposed to do with this?
Right.
And there is a large collective group of individuals. As a matter of fact, there was a poll on Twitter that said, out of the people, do you believe 6 games was was good enough, or it was lenient and they should have been more games? 77% of the people said that 6 games was not enough.
See, I believe that, though. I believe that most people think that this is very light.
It doesn't feel right.
It doesn't. And Chris, if it was 8 or 10, this would be a done deal. I believe that. If it was 8 or 10 games, but I think because the number's so small, and with the way he finagled his contract, I think the NFL almost has no choice. It'll be interesting.
Well, it was too good. They were too good of a businessman, right? Because he got the contract, and then you look at the schedule come out, and the schedule's favorable, and then now he comes back in 6 games, and so you get a sense of, wow, this guy really
everything is coming in his favor. There's no doubt about that. That's Garrett Bush, host of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show
sir.
and
Thank you.
the Locked On Browns podcast. Good stuff, man. We appreciate it.
You.